Good evening, everyone, and welcome here inside East Gymnasium at Fort Lee High School as we're in the pregame leading up to the start of this first ever home county tournament game for the girls basketball program here at Fort Lee as the Bridgemen are going to be taking on the Maroons of Ridgewood High School. I'm Dan Long, everyone, and we're joined here pregame with a special guest as we're joined by assistant coach Josh Ford, one of the all-time greats here at the boys basketball program. And Josh, you got to experience a lot of success under Coach Ziemba and get a taste of tournament play. What is this like building up here today of having the girls getting ready to host a game for the county tournament against a team such as Ridgewood?
I just want to start off by saying thanks for having me again. Always a pleasure. In terms of the county tournament, man, like I said, this is a crazy experience. You know, I feel like this feeling never gets old. I remember myself just being in high school playing and being so happy to, kind of be on a great team, to be able to play in front of a great crowd. So, I definitely express to these girls that don't take this experience for granted. You know, it doesn't come along where you just are having such of a great ride of a season as well as being able to have a great seat in the counties. So definitely just express to them to have fun, relax, go out there, play how we've been playing this whole season, just have fun. But understand that this is a great opportunity for us to be great. So.
In talking before the game also with Kelly Lane at one point, we were discussing how even though it was a defeat, that game against Immaculate Conception, they believe, we were even talking ourselves after the game the other day, that's going to be a type of game that's going to pay off down the road, maybe as soon as even here today, because of the level of competition, the athletes on the floor, it just gets you prepared for when it matters the most, which is now tournament time.
No, for sure. In terms of the Immaculate, like I said, both teams I thought competed to the best of their ability. It was a great game to watch, probably one of the best basketball games I've ever really witnessed. It was just fast-paced game, girls being very competitive on both sides, going hard to the rim, making shots, just, showcasing their team of how good they've been and how well they've been coached. So like you said, the Immaculate was definitely a good exposure for us to see what's out there. We know this county run is not going to be easy, but like I said, we got to take one game at a time, and I thought Immaculate definitely helped us prepare coming into this game today.
In your tutelage now here this season, what makes this team special? What makes this team tick the way that it has, already getting out to 15 wins in your first 18 contests? What do you have to do well as a team here today to advance in the counties?
In terms of just the team in general, like I thought the best thing so far that I've learned about this team already is just they're very responsive to criticism. I think that's extremely big, being a young high school player, being able to receive criticism, understanding that it's only going to get us better, and being able to execute outside. In terms of the game, I think if we just relax, have fun, do the things in terms of boxing out, rebounding, trying to limit Ridgewood to one possession, I think we'll give ourselves a good chance to be in this game when it's all said and done.
And for you personally, what is it like to come back to the alma mater and get back into coaching again? You were used to dominating as a player in your time here, now getting into the X's and O's of it. What has that transition been like, and to be able to do it here at Fort Lee?
Being a fellow alumni of Bridgman is honestly unbelievable. Like I said, I remember just being in this playing myself. It's nothing like it. Fort Lee is, like I said, helped me with my ups and downs in terms of just being a better player, preparing myself for college. I appreciate Coach G, Mr. Raftery. Like, it's just a great program to be a part of. Fort Lee is very, very, very good and excelling their players as well as their students for later on down the road. So in terms of being back, like I said, I'm happy to be back. I told the girls I wish I could put on the jersey and play tonight. I'm so excited. So, just happy to, be able to coach these girls and be a part of this run right now.
Well, it's going to be a fun one here tonight. Again, history being made. First ever home game for the Fort Lee girls basketball program, hosting here at the beginning of the 48th Bergen County tournament. Josh, thank you so much for joining us. And I have to say, if coaching doesn't work out for you, I better watch myself. You are a natural here as an interviewee and part of this broadcasting. You are always welcome back anytime here. Pre-game, post-game, anytime.
I'm looking forward to the next one. Thank
you. Now I know. I can't, say, oh, I feel like I'm sick here. I think you're going to take my job. So, hey, you're a natural. Thanks a lot, Josh. Good luck here tonight. So again, that is our pregame interview with assistant coach Josh Ford, leading up to the opening tip-off, as we're going to be having a good one coming up next, as it's Ridgewood taking on Fort Lee in the first round of the 48th edition of the Bergen County Girls Basketball Tournament. Good evening, everyone, and welcome here inside East Gymnasium at Fort Lee High School for the first ever home game for the Bridgman girls basketball program as part of the Bergen County Girls Basketball Tournament. History being made here tonight as the Ridgewood Maroons, 6-11 on the season, have come calling to take on the Fort Lee Bridgman, 15-3 overall on the season. Hello, everyone, and welcome inside here in a very excited East Gymnasium. I'm Dan Long, joined alongside by Renee Matisich and Dimitri Nanis, as we'll be bringing you the sights and sounds courtesy of the Fort Lee Athletic Department. Ridgewood in their road maroon, Fort Lee in their home white. And Ava Zoglu wins the tip back for the Bridgman, and Fort Lee starts off on offense. Here's Catalina Gill, wasting little time, as hustling over to secure the offensive rebound is Sophia Pagan. Ava Zoglu pulls up for the mid-range jumper, and Pagan steps out of bounds on the baseline to turn it over to Ridgewood. So a couple of shot opportunities for the Bridgman, not able to finish it off. The head coach for Ridgewood, 6-11 on the season, Mike Mitchell, and Fort Lee is led by Kelly Lane in her first season at the helm of this program. Former standout in her time at Ridgefield Park. There's a shot missed by Ridgewood. Maroons trying to track it down in the corner. Ava Zoglu trying to tip it away. Ridgewood's a team that has not scored a lot of points per game this season. They average just under 32 points per game compared to Fort Lee, who averages over 60 points per game. Fort Lee, the number 12 seed in this bracket. Number 21 is Ridgewood. The winner of this game will advance Saturday to take on number 5, Northern Highlands. Stolen away by Janelle Lewis. Lewis, the leading scorer for this Fort Lee side. Up and under move, just missed it short. Put back attempt inside is good by Pagan. First points of the night go the way of Fort Lee. They steal the ensuing inbounds. Layla Jones with the thievery. Now getting it up top to Janelle Lewis. Lewis, who has 14 times this year scored over 20 points in a game. That time, that three-point attempt hit into the stanchion right above the backboard. That'll be a violation, giving it back over to Ridgewood. The Maroons, 6-11 on the season. They come in off a 31-16 defeat against Paramus. They represent the Big North Freedom Division. They are in third place in that division. Fort Lee is in first place atop the league standings in the Big North American Division. Again, full court pressure being administered early and often here in this game for Fort Lee. Ridgewood breaking the pressure this time. There's a long-range three, no good from Aurora. Offensive rebound, but then it's stolen away by Gill. Gill getting into the open floor to Janelle Lewis. Lewis, the hoop and the harm, and one! Fort Lee takes a 4-0 advantage, and Janelle Lewis gets on the board with a chance at a three-point play. Lewis coming in off a 30-point performance in the win against Dumont on the 24th. Missing on the foul shot, so she'll settle for the layup. 4-0 lead for Fort Lee, nearly another steal for the Bridgman. Instead, that's going to be last touch out of bounds off of Layla Jones. And it looks like a timeout's going to be taken early on. As again, Ridgewood is struggling trying to break this full court pressure being administered in the early goings here by Fort Lee. A 4-0 lead early on in this game for the Bridgman. This is the first county tournament game for this Fort Lee girls basketball program since last playing in it January 25th of 2020. They played that preliminary round game at Fairlawn, and they lost to the Cutters by a 38-30 final. This is the first time in Fort Lee girls basketball history that the Bridgmen have been able to host a county tournament game. And that's where they're doing right now. Leading 4-0, 6:36 left to go here in our opening quarter of action as Ridgewood looks to inbound after calling timeout. Aurora lost a little spacing there, and now Lewis again with the steal. Stops and pops in the middle of the lane, hits it all over the rim, but missed it. Ava Zoglu tried to get the loose ball rebound, eventually gets out now to space. Catalina Gill missed on the three. Fouled her own miss. Aggressive offensive rebounding right now Fort Lee is winning every 50-50 ball, but this is stolen away by Ridgewood, and they get their first points of the game, courtesy of Lauren Perez. The senior saw the anticipation and pays off that anticipation with a steal and a hoop. Floater across the middle of the lane by Jones, no good, as Ridgewood now has a chance to tie or either take the lead, down by 2. They want to attack when they don't have to go against this stationary half-court defense. There's another steal by Fort Lee. This time it's Jones. Jones trying to go coast to coast, got it blocked away. Last touch off of Ridgewood, as the senior guard was trying to open up her scoring account here in this tournament game. Lewis will trigger the restart as the inbounder for the Bridgemen. Getting it up top to Gill. Nearly got it stolen away by Perez. Here's a shot from distance. That doesn't draw iron. And then stepping out of bounds was Taylor Duma. Number 24 has come into the game off the Ridgewood bench, trying to present a little more size for the Maroons inside, who, again, are getting battled on the boards right now by Fort Lee. Jones open in the corner, high arcing 3. Got it! Layla Jones, the first made 3 of the game for Fort Lee. Jones, who averages over 12 points a game, gets her first 3 points of this county tournament game. 7-2 lead for Fort Lee. Ridgewood missing on the layup attempt. They get the loose ball offensive rebound. Curling across the lane, another attempt inside, no good by Marino, as that's going to be tipped out of bounds. Last touch off of Fort Lee. Sophia Marino, number 5, the junior, is the leading scorer for this Ridgewood side, averaging 8 points per game. She also leads the team with 7 rebounds per contest, close to 2 assists per game, and also leads in 2 steals. She's really the full force for this Maroon team this year. They're denied again another opportunity. Here's Layla Jones from the same exact spot, knocking down her second consecutive triple. She's got 6 here in the first quarter. Largest lead of the game, it's 10-2. Quick passing out of the near side. Now Duffy passing it off on the baseline. And that'll be a foul whistled against Fort Lee. And that'll be the first foul against the home side so far in this first quarter. 4:36 left to go in the first. Ava Zoglu getting the foul. Inbound coming for Ridgewood as they work it around, trying to go inside. And the left-hand layup does fall for Catherine Hogan. Hogan's first 2 points of the evening. 10-4 lead now for Fort Lee. Layla Jones has scored the last 6 unanswered points for the Bridgemen on back-to-back triples just in front of us. From the near side corner, she gets fouled on the opposite side of the floor, as that'll be a blocking foul against Ridgewood. Foul will go against Quinn Duffy. Duffy's first personal foul, team second. Gill, she's dangerous from 3, left by her lonesome, no good. Began tried to tip it out to space, but nobody was there for Fort Lee, and Alicia Aurora comes away with a loose ball rebound. At the midway point to the first quarter, 6-point advantage for the home-sided Bridgemen, looking for their 16th win of the season. They've been great here at home, 7-3 on the year, and 1. Ridgewood count the bucket. And a chance at a traditional 3-point play for Sophia Marino. Marino had only 2 points total in their last game, that loss against Paramus, that saw Ridgewood only produce 16 total points in the contest. Marino missing on the foul shot, though. Lewis in the open floor. Look at that blazing speed. Tried to bank it in, missed it, and then tried to go up for her loose ball rebound. And she got stuffed, and it's going to be a jump ball possession arrow favoring the visitors from Ridgewood. So Janelle Lewis has only produced 2 points so far here in the early goings. The other way, it's going to be a blocking foul against Fort Lee. They weren't fully stationary. Kind of caught in between whether or not to go for a block or go for the charge, and instead, that foul is going to be whistled against Fort Lee, as Ava Zoglu picks up her second personal. Wortley's going to have to go to their bench as their starting center now with 2 fouls. As that foul shot no good by Sophia Marino. 0 for 2 in her first 2 foul shot attempts. 3:35 left to go here in the first. 10-6 lead for Fort Lee. Marino had a season-high 19 points against DePaul. Miss on a pair, but Ridgewood, new life inside, but they miss it. Golden opportunity there by Duma. There's a pull-up transition 3, nearly banked in by Jones. Fort Lee hustling for the loose ball in the paint. Gill comes away with it. Olivia Hausman just came into the game, fires and knocks down the corner 3. Hausman's 14th 3 of the season. She's lethal off the Fort Lee bench. 13-6. Fort Lee has knocked in 3 threes here in the first quarter alone. Long range set and fire, foot on the line there by Aurora. She gets the 2, 13-8. Fort Lee on top, under 3 minutes left to go in the first quarter. That time, Lewis was fouled as she was trying to venture inside the paint. Foul on the floor, not in the act of shooting. Both teams now have committed 3 fouls apiece so far here in the first quarter of play. Looks to be the second foul against Quinn Duffy, so Duffy will head to the Ridgewood bench as Coach Mitchell will have to go to his reserves. Trying to pass it inside to Pagan. Might have been inadvertently poked in the eye as well. She was trying to make her way right down the middle of the lane. Jones will be the inbounder. Trying to pass it up top. Perez poking it away. Lauren Perez has had 1 steal in this game that led to her 2 points. 13-8 advantage for Fort Lee. Trying to get it to Sophia Pagan. Held on. Pagan left that shot a little short inside. Kind of rushed it. Had a little more time than she maybe even thought she did. Duma across the lane. Standing her ground, though, was Pagan, forcing the turnover. Lewis in the open floor. Lewis missing on the layup, but fouls her own miss with the putback layup. She's got 4. 15-8, 2:20 and counting now left to go here in the first quarter. Chance of defense starting to circulate around the gym. Here's Janelle Lewis. Again, blazing speed leads to back-to-back layups for the leading scorer for Fort Lee. And another timeout taken by Ridgewood as Fort Lee starting to run away here late in the first quarter of action. As Layla Jones has 6, Janelle Lewis with 6. They're the 2 powerful seniors who have been leading the way this season for the Bridgemen. A historic season in the midst for the Bridgemen, 15-3 record. They're closing in on the 17 wins that Fort Lee put up a couple of seasons ago when they last made an appearance in a sectional final. But Fort Lee already up to 15 wins this season after finishing last year 10-12. In their last 8 wins, Fort Lee has won by over 20 points. And their closest win was a 12-point win on the season against Ridgeville Park. So when Fort Lee wins, they usually do it going away and blowing out the competition. They had a 14-game win streak that was recently snapped in a game seen here on YouTube against Immaculate Conception of Lodi. It was a hard-fought game. Fort Lee battled back to even take the lead early in the 4th before Immaculate Conception found their way to a 14-point win on the road. As Ridgewood been able to make the necessary adjustments in that last time out. They trail by 9, 17-8. Double team trap in the corner. Marino's pass deflected out of bounds. Last touch off of Fort Lee. 1:55 left to go here in the first. Thanks so much for joining us for this first round action of the 48th Bergen County Girls Basketball Tournament. And that's going to be a turnover for Ridgewood as the Maroons give it right back to Fort Lee. You can see here the Bridgemen want to speed up this game and make things uncomfortable for this Ridgewood team that really doesn't know what to expect here. First meeting between these schools that they never really have met before. Worked around Gill, dumping it down low to Pagan. Double team comes to her. Layla Jones open behind the arc. Her 3rd made 3 of the quarter. Jones is on fire from deep. She's got 9. outscoring Ridgewood by her own. 20-8 lead now for Fort Lee. Passing around the perimeter, Aurora had a shot opportunity, didn't go up for it. Eventually leads to the turnover. Trying to get it to Lewis in the open floor. Lewis weathers the contact and finishes. Janelle Lewis now with 8 points after Hausman procured the loose ball. Lewis with 8, Jones with a game-high 9. What a start to this contest for Fort Lee, 22-8, the lead for the home side. High arcing three by Aurora, no good. Tipped out underneath, Gill with the rebound. Nearly fell to her knees, and they say she did, so that is going to be a travel. 37.5 seconds left to go in the first, and Fort Lee has put up 22 points already in this quarter. They have knocked down 4 made threes in this contest and have been suffocating on defense. Pass into the corner. Aurora handles it. Coming up on the final 30 seconds of quarter number 1. Open shot to the near side, no good. Offensive rebound underneath by Taylor Dumo. Pagan. Good defensive work there, forcing Marino to cross-court the pass. A look inside. Again, good ball movement here by the Maroons. Leads to the open shot, and the three is knocked down by Alicia Aurora. First made three of the game for Ridgewood. A shot right at the buzzer, ricochets off the top of the backboard, and that's how we'll end the first quarter of play. But Fort Lee doubles up Ridgewood. After 8 minutes of play, it's Fort Lee 22, Ridgewood 11. Stick around as we'll be back for the start of the second quarter as you're watching all the action here, courtesy of the Fort Lee Athletics Department. Fort Lee on top, 22-11. They've led by as many as 14 in that first quarter. Layla Jones with a game-high 9 points for the Bridgemen. She has knocked down 3 threes in that first quarter. Janelle Lewis started to get things going after missing a couple of in-tight shots in the early goings of the quarter. She's now up to 8 points herself. Olivia Hausman with 3 points off the Fort Lee bench, and Sophia Pagan with 2 points to start off the game. Ridgewood being led by Alicia Aurora's 5 points, including that 3 just before the end of the quarter. Jones pulls up from the foul line and swishes home the jumper. She's in a zone right now, the senior with 11. 24-11 now the lead for the Bridgemen. Fort Lee team coming off a win against Dumont their last time out. Another turnover for Ridgewood. Defeated Dumont 61-41 as part of their senior night earlier on this week. 6 seniors, part of a historic season so far. They want to keep the good times going as Lewis missed the runner in the middle of the lane. Making history here tonight, hosting the first ever home game in county tournament history for the girls basketball program. Now they want to win in advance to take on the Highlanders of Northern Highlands in the next round. There's going to be a foul after Ridgewood started to crash the boards. This Fort Lee side, if you're just joining us and have never seen them so far this season, 15-3 on the year. They do not have a lot of size. They don't have a lot of height. They are built on speed and skill. Across the middle of the lane, Marino missed on the first attempt, but then got fouled again going up for it. Back-to-back fouls committed here on defense by Fort Lee. That foul will go against Lewis. That will be her first after Catalina Gill had picked up a foul just moments prior. 5th team foul already for Fort Lee. Just a minute gone by here in the second quarter. As Sophia Marino will knock down the foul shot. Her first made foul shot of the game. She had missed her first 3 opportunities in the first quarter. Moreno missing on the second attempt, and a rebound inside by Jones. Jones stripped as she was trying to go across the middle of the lane. Good turnover forced by Ridgewood. Here come the Maroons, down by 12. Into the corner, Perez tried to save it, but threw it out of bounds as she was tumbling her way out. And that'll give the possession back over to Fort Lee. This 48th edition of the BCWCA tournament has 24 teams in the field. A new look for the tournament this year. The loser of this game will be part of the BIT tournament. So if you lose, you will play in the other tournament in the counties as almost part of the losers bracket. So your tournament play is not over. Lewis across the lane, hangs in the air, and she got contacted. Does not hit the shot, but Lewis will head to the line to shoot a pair. So the loser of tonight's game will play the winner of Hackensack and Elmwood Park in the Bergen Invitational Tournament on Saturday. So someone is guaranteed to continue tournament play, no matter the winner or loser of tonight's game. As Lewis missing on her second foul shot attempt of this game. She's 0 for 2 at the charity stripe. Last year they had more of a pod system in the county tournament, more like the World Cup. You played in a group, you played 3 games, and then if you had a good enough record, you would advance on in the tournament. Ridgewood went 1-2 in the county tournament last season. Defeated Pascack Valley before losing to Demorest and then IHA. Moved around, it's 25-12 after Lewis went 1 for 2 at the line. Lewis now up to 9 points in the game. Second leading scorer in this contest for Fort Lee. Jones has a game-high 11. This pressure defense really getting to Ridgewood. As the Maroons are trying to pass it around the perimeter, but Fort Lee has been using their speed and making a difference. Evazoglu comes back in quickly off the inbounds and then a late whistle, as that's going to be a foul. Whistled against Fort Lee in the act of shooting was Marino. So Marino's already been to the line several times here today. She has been to the line 5 times. We'll get 2 more opportunities here with 2 minutes left, or 2 minutes into the start of the second quarter. Marino, though, has struggled a bit here at the foul line. She's 1 for 6. 16 foul against Fort Lee. It was also the second personal foul against Lewis. Marino missing another 2 at the line. She's 1 for 7. Into the corner, here's Lewis. Stops and pops, and 1. Lewis showing off the strength. The senior searches out the contact. We've been seeing that all season long for this outstanding senior. She is up to 11 points now in the game with a chance for a 3-point play. She does just that, sinks the foul shot. 2 for 4 at the line. She's now got a game-high 12. Lewis had 8 in the first quarter, 4 more here in the second. 28-12 lead for Fort Lee. Pulling away, and another travel here as Ridgewood being sped up. Before their last loss in their last game against Paramus, Ridgewood had 2 straight wins. They won at DePaul and then won against Passaic. Hausman pulls up from around 17, no good. Boxing out underneath as Ridgewood will come away with the possession. Maroons leaving it off. Inside, again, the contact. And that's going to be another foul against Fort Lee on the trip call. The only thing that Fort Lee has not been effective at here today so far is not fouling. As Ava Zoglu picked up third personal foul. Emily Bucinich, number 11, missing on that first foul shot attempt. Bucinich missing on a pair of opportunities at the foul line. Ridgewood is not making it easy for themselves and missing on foul shots, and then eventually leads in the open floor to the layup converted by Janelle Lewis. 14 points now here in the first half. 30-12 lead for Fort Lee. 4:50 left to go here in the first half, and another foul underneath against the Bridgemen, as that will send Taylor Duoma to the line to shoot a pair. Averages 2 points per game this season. And that time it's rattled in by Duoma. Short on the second opportunity, as she goes 1 of 2 at the line. Ridgewood has missed 9 foul shots here in the first half. Across the lane, trying to bank it in was Lewis. Tipped around, and the rebound secured underneath by Ridgewood. As the Maroons trying to bring it down, Aurora picked up her dribble, looked for the outlet. Bucinich over to the near side. Aurora had 5 points for the Maroons in the first quarter. Been bottled up here in the second. Lewis was trying to sneak in for a steal. Across the lane, off-balance runner, no good. Cleaned up inside, and yet another foul against Fort Lee. Lauren Bonds, number 13, to the line, and she sinks the first foul shot. Bond drains a pair. She's got 2 points. Fort Lee on top by 15. 30-15 as we're reaching the midway point of the second quarter. Give and go, and Hausman, the beneficiary of the assist from Lewis. Olivia Hausman now with 5 points off the Bridgman bench. In the corner, setting and firing, no good. Tipped out underneath and cleaning up inside again is Lauren Bond. So Bond comes off the Ridgewood bench and immediately paying dividends for Coach Mike Mitchell. She's got the last 4 consecutive points for the Maroons. And Lewis got fouled that time, as that'll be a pushing foul against Ridgewood. It'll be the team's 6th foul, so they have no more fouls to give. Emily Bucinich picking up the foul. Catalina Gill for 3. Got it! Another triple for Fort Lee. Their first of the second quarter. They've got 5 made threes in the half. Inside, mid-range jumper falls for Ridgewood. It's Quinn Duffy. Duffy knocks in the 2. 35-19. Here's a long-range shot. Catalina Gill again from deep. Back-to-back triples by Catalina Gill. She's up to 29 made threes on the season. Ridgewood looks to respond. No good. Karams out into the hands of Jones. Jones looks to push it. Transition 3. No good. Fort Lee was trying to make it 3 consecutive threes as their offense is percolating. 38 points on the board already for Fort Lee, with 2:35 still left to go here in the second quarter. Six made threes by the Bridgemen here in the first half. Gill around the horn. Here's Hausman. Sets and fires. No good. Trying to crash the offensive glass was Ileana James, the freshman, has come into the game, the post player. 19-point lead for Fort Lee. That shot from the outside left short by Ridgewood. The start and stop ability. Lewis, no, missed on the bank shot. 2 minutes left to go in the first half. Ridgewood looking to go high-low inside with a height advantage, and that leads to the layup inside. Duma now with 3 points in the quarter and in the game. 38-21 advantage for Fort Lee. Lewis sets and fires from straight away. No good, but she got fouled, and if that's in the act of shooting like it is, it's going to be a 3-shot foul. Foul went against Lauren Bond. Bond fouling the 3-point shooter as Janelle Lewis now will have a chance to add 3 more points to her total. She's got 14 here in the first half. Missed on the foul shot, though. 2 of 5 from the line here in the first half is Lewis. 90 seconds left to go in the first half. Lewis sitting on 14 in the game. Second foul shot is good. And again, she was fouled in the act of shooting a 3, so she will be awarded a 3rd opportunity. At a season-high 41 points in the win here against Memorial a couple of games ago. And she sinks it. Goes 2 of 3, that trip at the line. Now Lewis now with 16 points in the half. 40-21 lead for Fort Lee. Deflected away by Lewis. Showing the vertical leap that time. Ridgewood trying to find an opening here against this vaunted Fort Lee defense. A defense that gives up less than 40 points per game to their opponents. Again, the high-low move led to a shot in tight. Mid-range jumper can't fall, though. Hausman gets the loose ball rebound, got bumped in the corner as well. And that'll send Olivia back over to the foul line to shoot 1-1 with 57.5 seconds left to go here before halftime. That foul went against Bond, her second, team's 8th. Olivia Hausman with 5 points here in the first half off the Fort Lee bench. Hausman got a nice shooter's roll, even shrugged her shoulders a bit. She said out loud, that's off. She got the shooter's roll and now is up to 6 points here in the half. Had 6.6 rebounds against Dumont the other night. Season high 11 earlier on this season against Tenafly. Hausman, silky smooth on her shot. 7 points for Olivia. Fort Lee doubling up Ridgewood here in the first half, 42-21. Passing the interior, Bond with a shot left short. Rebounded by Lewis. Lewis with a breakneck pace, pulls up for 3, no good. Lewis has yet to hit a triple. That's the only thing she hasn't really been able to do in this first half. Worked around the perimeter. Aurora outlets it over to the far side. Vucinic up top. Aurora sets and fires. Baseline jumper is good. First points of the second quarter for Alicia Aurora. The junior averages 7 points per game. Had a season high 17 earlier this season in a win against Tenafly. Fort Lee holding for one final shot of the half. And there's going to be a foul, and is that going to be an offensive foul? Yes, it is. A moving screen against Ileana James. So now Ridgewood will have one final shot attempt to the half just before halftime. 1.7 seconds left to go here in the second quarter, 42-23. Setting it in to Duffy. Duffy unleashes, hit it off the rim, no good. Great effort there by Quinn Duffy. She didn't miss by much, and that'll end the first half of play with Fort Lee in the driver's seat right now on top of Ridgewood by a score of 42-23. Stick around as we'll be back for the start of the second half of play as you're watching first round action of the 48th Bergen County Girls Basketball Tournament here on the Fort Lee Athletics YouTube channel. Welcome back, everybody, as we're moments away for the resumption of play in the start of the second half as you're watching first-round coverage of the 48th edition of the Bergen County Girls Basketball Tournament. Fort Lee, the number 12 seed, on top of number 21 seed Ridgewood by a score of 42-23 at halftime. Dan Long, Renee Matisich, Dimitri Nanis, glad you could join us here on our broadcast coverage of this Fort Lee girls basketball event. History here being made today, first ever time that Fort Lee has hosted a girls basketball tournament game. Looking at the stats from the first half of play, Ridgewood's leading scorer was number 2, Alicia Aurora. She had 7 points to lead the Maroon offense. Sophia Marino and Taylor Duma, each with 3 points apiece. Quinn Duffy, Lauren Perez, and Catherine Hogan with 2 each. For Fort Lee, once again, their leading scorer, Janelle Lewis, 16 points in that first half. Layla Jones added 11. Olivia Hausman with 7 points off the Bridgman bench. Catalina Gill with 6, and Sophia Pagan with 2. Fort Lee led 22-11 after the first quarter. They outscored Ridgewood 20-12 in that second quarter to now take a 42-23 lead as we get underway at the start of the second half. Ridgewood in the road maroon, Fort Lee defending in the home white. Aurora across the lane. Ridgewood looking for the cutter inside. It's Marino. Fort Lee did foul a lot in that first half. Ridgewood could not take advantage, though. They went 2 of 9 from the foul line in the first half. Missed shot. Layla Jones breaking out and running down the other way. Catalina Gill, step back 3. Left that one short. Lewis, though, with the rebound on the near side. Lewis sets and fires. She misses. Ava Zoglu cleans it up, but she missed on the other side. 3 different opportunities there for Fort Lee. They were not able to cap it off with the opening bucket of the second half. Marino inside, twirls around, and gets it to fall. Sophia Marino now with 5 points in the game. First 2 points of the second half for Ridgewood. Again, the winner of today's first-round game will take on number 5 seed Northern Highlands in the round of 16. As that's going to be a loose ball tie-up. Possession arrow will favor Fort Lee. They'll keep it here on this offensive side of the East Gymnasium. Gill in the corner. Lewis, again, can't connect from 3. Pagan tried to wrestle in that offensive rebound, but it was taken away from her. Good rebound underneath by Hogan. Perez looking for Aurora on the far side. Aurora has the lone 3 of the game for Ridgewood. Fort Lee on the other side have knocked down 6 made threes in the first half. That has been a big part of their scoring arsenal in this one. Ridgewood running an patient offensive set, and eventually it ends with a 3-pointer. Aurora's second made 3 of the game. She's got a game-high 10 now for Ridgewood. They've started off on a 5-0 run to start off this second half. Back to within 42-28. Here's a long-range 3 for Fort Lee. No good by Gill. Tipped around inside. Last touch off of Pagan, and out of bounds it goes. So 2 minutes into the start of the third quarter, and Ridgewood has pulled back to within 14. 5:59 left to go here in the third. Aurora in the corner, and then Ava Zoglu. Good anticipation inside, picked off the pass. They were trying to get it down low to Olivia Dunn. In the open floor, missing on the layup attempt, cleaning up inside. There goes Lewis. 18 points in the game now for Janelle. Her first 2 points of the third quarter. Closing in on what would be her 15th game of 20 or more points. 2 points away from that threshold. As there was an official timeout as Sophia Pagan was retying her shoelace. Kickball denies that steal for Catalina Gill. Aurora, nice head and shoulder fake. There's the leaner and the floater on the near baseline. Alicia Aurora has exploded here for 5 points in the opening minutes of the third quarter. She's got 12 to lead the offense for Ridgewood. Foul on the floor before the shot. As Lewis was contacted on a foul by Duffy. Duffy's third foul of the game for Ridgewood. Top to Lewis, got deflected away initially off the hands of Hogan, but Lewis was able to track it down. Straightaway three for Lewis, no good. One of those rare games where she's just not been able to find her long-range shooting. Speaking of which, that shot from distance by Jones well wide of the rim as well. Fort Lee chucking up the threes at a high clip. I think because of their success in the first half, knocking down 6, they've been trying to do a little too much from three-point range here in the second half. 44-30, the lead for Fort Lee. Ridgewood has come back. Big reason why, number 2 in maroon. Pass inside, stolen away. Jones, though, has it stolen right back by Ridgewood. And then that pass too hot to handle off of the hands of Marino. That goes out of bounds as both teams trading turnovers. Jones might have jammed a finger, just trying to shake it off a bit. Fort Lee has only scored 2 points so far here in the third quarter, as we're already approaching the midway points of quarter number 3. Gill handing it off to Lewis. Lewis across the lane on the baseline to Pagan, and Pagan just left it short on that far side. She made a nice move off the ball, but Pagan just couldn't get the layup to drop. Ridgewood sticking around here. Pass in the interior, out up top. Aurora had the open 3. Coach Mitchell incredulous of why his leading scorer did not uncork that shot. She's knocked down 2 threes in this game. Had an open look. Here she is now taking it, and the floater attempt left it short. Rebounded inside by Pagan. Missed opportunity on that possession for Ridgewood. Remains a 14-point deficit for the road side. Lewis nearly threw that one away. Gill getting dirty on the floor. And now Kelly Lane's going to call for a timeout as she sees that her team on offense is sputtering. Again, Fort Lee has only scored 2 points after the break, after scoring 42 points in the first half alone. We'll take the timeout with them on the floor as Fort Lee's on top of Ridgewood, 44-30, as you're watching all the action here on the Fort Lee Athletics YouTube channel. In their next game, Fort Lee, well, their next game would possibly be a game against Northern Highlands if they win this one on Saturday, but their next game in the regular season will be on January 31st on the road at Ridgeville Park. If they win that game, the Bridgemen could already clinch a share of the league title on the road and then could potentially win it outright with the win in their following game on the road at Cliffside Park. So that's all coming up next on the road ahead, as there looks to be a spill right around the Fort Lee bench that's being mopped up by none other than Fort Lee Athletic Director Mike Raftery. So Fort Lee with the inbound here, trying to get their offense back in high gear. Scored 22 points in the first quarter, 20 more in the second quarter, but have only scored two points so far here. And this game is not out of reach just yet. Nice move by Lewis, just splitting a couple of defenders. She's got all 4 points in the quarter for the Bridgemen. She's up to 20 points on the night, 46-30. On the far side wing, it's Duffy. She's surrounded there by Jones and company. Straightaway shot by Ridgewood's Aurora, no good. That goes out of bounds. Possession back over to Fort Lee. Again, the first time that Fort Lee has appeared in this Bergen County tournament since playing Fairlawn in the 2020 tournament. Fort Lee would lose at Fairlawn in that preliminary round game, 38-30. A chance here to win at home and advance in the tournament. For a program that is having a historic start to this season. Here's Pagan. Bottled up and thrown away. Interception by Lauren Bond. Bond has been a very good player here today off the Ridgewood bench for the Maroons. Here's Bond inside, now throwing it up and banking it home. Lauren Bond now with 6 points in the game. She made the play on defense on one end of the floor and now doing it on offense. 46-32, back to a 14-point lead, and Lewis is fouled on her way up. Two-shot foul, as that's going to be a foul whistled against Aurora, her first, team second of the third quarter. Fort Lee is yet to commit a foul themselves. As Lewis sinks the foul shot. Five of 8 from the foul line here tonight. Lewis confidently drains a pair. 22 points now for Janelle Lewis. 48-32, 16-point lead. Corner three ball for Ridgewood. Rebounded out by Jones. Jones in the open floor finds Lewis looking for her first three. Still hasn't found it. Recovered underneath by Marino. Tipped inside, Lewis again with the steal. Averages just over 4 steals per game. Too fast that time. Kind of lost her balance as she left that layup short on the left side. 90 seconds left to go in the quarter. Ridgewood outscoring Fort Lee 9-6. Ava Zoglu says no. The rejection inside. Her 10th block of the season for the senior setter. Layla Jones gets blocked on the other end, that time by Quinn Duffy. Both teams showing off the defense here in the last couple of possessions. Coming up on the final minute of the third quarter, and that's a shot from outside, a long-range two by Duffy. 48-34, lead is once again at 14. Fort Lee is not helping their cause out here in the third quarter, not able to really put that lead in a safe position where they know this game is over. Lewis dribbling up a storm, lobbing it at the rim, missed it inside. Ridgewood comes away with it. With the three, they could pull to within 11. Fort Lee has led by more than 20 points on occasions in this game. Ridgewood fighting back. Their defense has kept them in this one. Here's an open jumper, knocked down by Schildkraut. Audrey Schildkraut just in the game, gets her first 2 points. Lewis sets and fires, and finally knocks in her first made three of the ball game. And that's a backbreaker if you're Ridgewood. Momentum was on their side. It looked like it was going to be only a 12-point deficit heading into the fourth quarter, but instead, Janelle Lewis finally knocks in that three-pointer that has eluded her all game long. She's got 25 for the Bridgemen. And Fort Lee will take a 15-point lead into the start of the fourth quarter play. Stick around and come back here as we're moments away from the start of the fourth here at East Gymnasium on YouTube. That was a struggle of a quarter for Fort Lee. The Bridgemen only produced 9 points in that quarter, all 9 of which, by the way, coming courtesy of Janelle Lewis. Ridgewood outscored them 13-9. And it's a 51-36 lead for Fort Lee as we head into the start of the fourth quarter. I'm Dan Long, joined alongside by Renee Matisic and Dimitri Nanis. Glad that you could join us here as part of history. First ever home game for Fort Lee's girls basketball program in the Bergen County Girls Basketball Tournament. This is the 48th edition of the tournament. It's going to be a kick ball against Fort Lee. Possession will stay here with Ridgewood. So Fort Lee fouled at a high clip in that first half. They changed that around in the third quarter, did not commit a single foul in that third. Aurora getting it back up top. Down to the corner as Pagan pressures outside. Ridgewood looks like they got away with an extra step there. And Aurora tries to cash in on the extra possession, no good. On the three, offensive rebound underneath. Marino getting caught up in the air, throws it up top to Aurora. Worked around the perimeter, setting and fire another three ball. Comes out to the near side. And that'll be possession going over now to Fort Lee with 7:26 left to go here in the fourth. Long sustained possession there for the Maroons, but they can't cash in. Again, they've only knocked in 2 made threes in this entire game. Lewis out of control, threw that one skyward and out of bounds. Good pressure defense there by Ridgewood. Trying to force Janelle Lewis to pass it away to another teammate. 51-36 remains the lead as we're coming up on a minute gone by here in the fourth. The winner takes on Northern Highlands on Saturday. Shot inside by Marino, no good. Fouls her own miss, but then threw it out of bounds at midcourt. The loser will then play the winner of either Hackensack or Elmwood Park in the Bergen Invitational Tournament. So it's a nice new thing that we see this year with this tournament, as they're always being creative. And the loser of this game will leave the Bergen County Tournament, but will go to the BIT. And will play either Hackensack or Elmwood Park on Saturday. Pagan getting swarmed, getting dispossessed. A steal forced by Bucinic. Down the floor to Aurora. And pulled it back out. Ridgewood's played very good defense here in the second half after giving up 42 in the first half. Pagan, she gets dirty on the floor. Up top to Layla Jones. Jones had Evazoglu streaking down the near right side. Couldn't get it to her. Here's Gill. Gill dumping it off. Evazoglu inside. Extra pass. Pagan missed it underneath. Two minutes gone by in the fourth quarter. Aurora open for three. High arcing triple. No good. Marino inside. Turnaround shot falls. Sophia Marino, 7 points now in the game for the junior. Most to her per game average. She leads the team with 8 points per game this year. Again, Ridgewood not going away quietly. This is still a ball game. Lead is down to 13 now. Layla Jones sets and fires. And another big three by Layla Jones. Her fourth made three of the game, first since the first quarter. She's got 14. Her outside shooting has been so clutch. Aurora answers with a three of her own. Her third made three of the game. And once again, every time that Fort Lee looks to be in the driver's seat, Ridgewood has had a response here in the second half to try to stay within striking distance. And Alicia Aurora now with 15 points in the game. She's knocked down 3 threes, all 3 threes in this game for the Maroons. And Fort Lee's lead is back to 13, 54-41. So Ridgewood, whether they're going to play Northern Highlands on Saturday or the winner of Hackensack Elmwood Park, that's going to be their next game over the weekend. Correction, they're actually going to be in action tomorrow. I beg your pardon. Looking at their schedule here in my notes, they will be traveling to Sparta tomorrow. That is one of the top public school teams in girls basketball in New Jersey. That Sparta program is pretty special. So that's going to be a tough game for Coach Mike Mitchell. They're going to take on Sparta, and then they'll be playing on Saturday as well. Their next home game is going to be against Northern Highlands on February 2nd. .506 left to go, as Fort Lee will inbound it out of the timeout. Lewis with 25, Jones with 14. They've been the dynamic duo. Seniors who came into Fort Lee High School this season and have made their impact felt. Those two have been part of this special season and has seen the Bridgemen win 15 of their first 18 of the year. And Lewis cuts her way right through the heart of the Ridgewood defense. 27 on the night now for Janelle Lewis. Quickly approaching the midway point of the fourth quarter. Whenever pressed, Fort Lee has been able to produce some big buckets. Lead has never been underneath double figures. Aurora, runner on the baseline, no good. Ava Zoglu muscled her way inside for the strong-armed rebound and then got contacted in the act. Only the third team foul against Ridgewood here in the second half. Something always to consider as well. These games factor into power points for state playoffs. Fort Lee is chasing after a top seed in North 2 Group 3 coming into play today. They were in the 5th spot in North 2 Group 3, just 1 point behind number 4 seed Colonia. You get a top 4 seed, you get a guarantee of 2 home games potentially in the playoffs. There's Lewis again, splitting the double team. This time her shot does not go. Rebounded inside though by Lauren Bond. Here's in the corner again. This time it's banked in on a 3. Wynn Duffy has been unlucky with a couple of those threes from that spot. That time she banked it in. The lead is now down to 12, 56-44. It's the closest that Ridgewood has been in quite some time. 3.5 minutes left to go in regulation. Fort Lee cannot be in cruise control here. Ridgewood trying to get a 5-second call as Fort Lee goes to the weave offense. Jones, nice split of the defense on the crossover. Deflected, out of bounds. Will be last touch off of the Maroons. So possession here for Fort Lee, 3:13 left to go. Fort Lee looked like at points in the first half like they were going to coast to victory here. Credit the play of Ridgewood in the second half. The Maroons have been the better side and have pulled to within 12. Lewis gets shouldered that time. That'll be a foul against Ridgewood and their 4th team foul. Second foul of the game against Aurora. Catalina Gill giving it off to Jones. Jones dribbling it up near midcourt. Nearly turned it over, and now a timeout at the last second. Called by Kelly Lane, sensing that a turnover was on the horizon for her team. Ridgewood is playing right now as a very loose team and a team that is putting the pressure on Fort Lee, while Fort Lee were the ones that were administering the constant harassment of Ridgewood in the first half of play. Fort Lee trying to salt away this victory and get to the winner's circle. There's still plenty of time left for Ridgewood to mount a comeback here as the Maroons have been playing much, much better here in the second half of play. Ridgewood is trying to earn some power points. North 1 Group 4 has them as right now the number 10 seed. The number 1 seed would be Union City. Into the backcourt it goes to Lewis. 27 of Fort Lee's 56 points on the evening. Fort Lee moving away from the pressure. Lewis gets all the way to the rim and somehow, someway, finds her way to another layup. 29 points for Lewis. Ridgewood knew that she was going hard to the rim, yet she was not going to be denied. And now Mike Mitchell will take a timeout as the defense starting to rattle Ridgewood a little bit on their offense. 2:28 left to go here in the fourth quarter. And Fort Lee back in front by 14, 58-44. Closest that Ridgewood has gotten has been just moments ago when it was a 12-point advantage. Fort Lee has led by over 20 points in this game. Led by 19 at the half, 42-23. Out of the timeout, Ridgewood with the inbounds. And Fort Lee has not committed a single foul this second half. Inside, good block inside by Ava Zoglu. Another rejection. Another block, this time from Hausman. Fort Lee's front line playing tall here late in regulation. 2:17 left to go. Passed up top, Marino. Vucinic. Jumped out low to Aurora. Up top to Duffy, who just banked in a three moments ago. Steal by Layla Jones. She falls out of bounds into the Ridgewood bench. It's going to be recovered by the Maroons. Vucinic, nobody was guarding her. Unleashed the three. Tipped off the hand and head of Hausman. Now the ball is loose inside. Ava Zoglu comes in for the big rebound. Lewis trying to go coast to coast. Stripped on her way up. That's a clean rejection by Duffy. And it's going to be a holding foul against Fort Lee. That'll be the fourth personal foul against Ava Zoglu. Only the first foul of the second half for the Bridgemen, so Ava Zoglu has to be careful. One more foul would foul her out of this ball game. 14-point deficit for Ridgewood, time becoming a concern. Maroons not having that much left at their disposal. We come up in the final 90 seconds of regulation. Lewis with the pilfer. Up and under, lets the defender fly by. And Janelle Lewis now with 31 points in the game. And that might be the knockout blow. 60-44 lead for Fort Lee. There's another steal by Lewis. Lewis will add to her big performance. No, she'll leave it short on the near side, recover her own miss. And now a foul whistled on the floor against Ridgewood. .110 left to go in regulation. Looked like Lewis was going to be coasting in for her 32nd and 33rd points of the game. Just short on that last layup. Now time on the side of Fort Lee. Drive and dish inside. Pagan shot inside, no good. And a tie-up ensues, and it's going to be a jump ball. And good hustle there by Sophia will keep the possession on this side of the floor for the Bridgemen. Fort Lee doesn't need to shoot if they just want to take some time off the clock. 1:02 left to go in regulation. But that inbounds pass is stolen away by Vucinic. Here comes Ridgewood. Vucinic passing it inside. Here's Duffy from distance. Overshot it. Gill with the rebound. Right in front of our near side corner. Ava Zoglu now trying to pass it up. Jones once again can't track it down as that goes out of bounds. And it's going to be another turnover forced by Ridgewood. Aurora got fouled, and she hit it! A chance at a 4-point play. Alicia Aurora was all set and ready to fire right out of that inbounds. She now has knocked down 4 threes in this game for the Maroons. She's got a season-high 18 with a chance at 19. Aurora missing on the foul shot. Last touch, though, out of bounds off of Pagan. Alicia Aurora up to 18 points in the game. Hope still alive here for the Maroons, playing down to that final whistle. 13-point deficit, though, is a steep hill to climb. Aurora on the baseline, reverse layup. Hit off the bottom of the backboard. Ball up inside, no good by Bond. Tipped out, still Ridgewood with the hustle. Aurora right in front of us. 20 seconds left to go. Fort Lee scrambling a bit back on defense, but Fort Lee's going to do enough here to survive a good push in the second half by Ridgewood. Vucinic off balance, but they're going to call a late foul. A whistle against Fort Lee. She was fouled in the act of shooting on the baseline with 9.2 seconds left to go. So Fort Lee looked dominant in the first half, slowed down defensively here in the second half, but still have enough gas in the tank to pick up a win here in tournament play. As Vucinic missing on her third foul shot opportunity of the night. Missing on a pair of foul shots, but tipped out of bounds. Again, last touch off of Pagan. So history was being made here tonight. First ever home game in a county tournament for Fort Lee. And in addition to hosting the home game, they're going to win this home game. Lewis with the steal. She'll try to go coast to coast. Missing on that last shot attempt, but that'll do it. And Fort Lee is going to be victorious here tonight by a final score of 60-47. And will advance to the round of 16 in the 2023 Bergen County Girls Basketball Tournament. Fort Lee led by Janelle Lewis's game-high 31 points. Fort Lee will move to 16-3 on the season, while Ridgewood was led by the 18 points of Alicia Aurora, and they will fall to 6-12 on the year. Ridgewood will await the winner of Hackensack Elmwood Park in the Bergen Invitational Tournament on Saturday, while Fort Lee will take on number 5 seed Northern Highlands on Saturday afternoon. So congratulations to Kelly Lane and her Fort Lee Bridgemen of making history here tonight, winning their first ever Bergen County Tournament home game by a final score of 60-47. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in and supporting these student athletes from both fine schools. For Renee Matisich and Dimitri Nanis, I'm Dan Long saying so long, and congrats again to the Fort Lee Bridgeman girls team advancing in the Bergen County Tournament. Take care, everybody.